If you're over 60, it's time to quit one habit for good. Stop comparing yourself to other people. I won't sugarcoat this today. Why does my life seem worse than theirs? Why does our household always feel short on money? Those thoughts that keep bubbling up inside your chest. Honestly, aren't you tired of them by now? Children, money, health, housing, pensions, grandkids. You've spent your whole life measuring yourself against others. If you felt behind, you blamed yourself. If you felt ahead, you almost felt guilty. But listen to me carefully. I'll say it in one clear sentence. This is not your fault. You're not weak or small-minded for thinking this way. From the day we were born, we were trained, no, conditioned to live like this. Think back. As kids, we were compared by test scores. How many points did you get? Before anything else, we compared numbers. Then we grew a bit, and it was houses. So-and-so's family owns a building. Did you hear? They already paid off their lease. Later, it was schools and jobs. Which university? Where do you work? How much do you make? After marriage, it became spouses, in-laws, backgrounds. A little later, it became children. Their son's a doctor. Their daughter lives overseas. That's when the heart started picking up small wounds. And now, here we are, 60, 70, retired, kids grown, an age when we're finally supposed to rest. But the comparisons don't stop. Their grandkids come every weekend. Ours only show up on holidays. My friend travels because her pension's comfortable. I get scared just thinking about hospital bills. He's still hiking mountains. My knees ache just walking to the store. And in that moment, something pokes your chest. Did I live my life wrong? You start putting yourself on trial. So let me say it again. This is not your fault. It's not that you are bad. It's that we live in a world obsessed with comparison. Let me paint you a picture. You wake up in the morning, pull the curtain just a bit, sunlight comes in. You put water on the stove and make a cup of coffee. Looking out the window, you mutter, "Well, this isn't bad. I lived all right." For a moment, your heart is calm. Then, the phone rings. I moved into a seaside apartment in Jeju. I drink coffee every morning looking at the ocean. The moment you hear that, your perfectly fine home suddenly feels shabby. But nothing actually changed. Same sunlight, same coffee, same house. Only one thing entered your heart: comparison. That's why the philosopher Schopenhauer said this: our unhappiness doesn't come from who we are, but from comparing ourselves with others. We're not unhappy because we have little. We become unhappy when we peek at what others have, and suddenly, what we have feels like trash. When we were younger, the comparisons were about promotions, houses, success. Now the subject has changed, but the pain is the same. Children, pensions, health. How often family visits? Their son drives them everywhere. They live with their grandkids during school breaks. They get that much pension? This is all I have? And quietly, the heart whispers, was I a bad parent? Did I fail at making money? Did I neglect myself and ruin my health? And again, you blame yourself. So let me say it for you. Your children not visiting often does not mean you were a bad parent. They're just struggling to survive in their own time. A small pension does not mean you lived carelessly. Your generation simply lived in a country that wasn't ready yet. An aching body does not mean you were lazy. It means you wore yourself out, feeding and protecting your family. So please, stop putting yourself in the defendant's seat. Comparison gives us nothing. What it leaves behind is this. First, endless dissatisfaction. No matter how much you have, someone always has more. Second, everything you have loses value. Food on the table, a place to sleep, your own legs carrying you to the bathroom. The moment you compare, all of it turns into nothing special. Third, jealousy and resentment. And if that lasts long enough, you start hating the world, then fate, then yourself. Fourth, fear about your very existence. Was my life a failure? That question is terrifying when you're alone at night. Fifth, every relationship turns into a competition. You can't relax with friends because you're secretly keeping score. See it now? Comparison has never been on our side. Some of you might be thinking, but didn't comparison push us to work harder? That was partly true back then. When we were raising kids, earning money, building a life, competition had its place. But now, you're 60, 70. Now is the age to compare yourself to yesterday, not to others. Am I a little calmer than last year? Do I resent life less than before? Am I kinder to myself now? Those comparisons don't hurt. They often bring a small, quiet smile. We humans are wired to compare. That's not a flaw. It's survival instinct. So here's the key point. You can't stop comparison thoughts from appearing, but you can choose whether to hold on to them and hurt yourself. That choice still belongs to you. Start simple. Next time someone's story stings a little, just say quietly to yourself, I'm comparing again. No judgment, just noticing. That alone cuts the power in half. Remember, we compare surfaces, big houses, successful children, strong bodies, but we don't see the tears inside those homes, the stress behind those jobs, the exhaustion inside those children. Think this instead. They have their struggles too. I just can't see them. And suddenly, comparison loses steam. Now, count what you have. Hands that can still feed you. Legs that carry you to the bathroom. A room to sleep in. A child who still answers the phone. A roof when it rains. That's real wealth. Before bed tonight, say this. I held up today. Good job, body. That one sentence can change tomorrow morning. For decades, other people set the standards. This much house equals success. This job equals dignity. This much filial duty equals a good child. It's time to quietly put those standards down. Ask yourself, what does happiness mean to me now? There is no right answer. The moment you decide to live by standard, half the comparisons disappear. As comparison fades, space opens in your heart. Fill it with your own quiet world. A cup of coffee in your favorite mug, 10 minutes with the radio on, a slow walk around the block. It doesn't need to impress anyone. If you can say, I like this, you've already succeeded. And one more thing. You're allowed to step back from relationships that only hurt. At this age, you don't need many people. 1 or 2 who let your heart rest is enough. So starting today, try just this. When you wake up, say, "I woke up today. Thank you." When someone brags, draw a quiet line in your heart that matters to you. "I'll live my life." Before sleep, name 3 small things you're grateful for. Do it for 3 days. You'll feel it. Let me finish with this. You are already enough. Your wrinkles, your aching knees, your thinner bank account, all of it adds up to one sentence. A person who made it this far, and that person is you. Tonight, don't look at other people's lights. Look at the warm light in your own room. And say softly, "This is enough. I lived my life my way." That one line might hold your heart more gently than you expect. Thank you for listening. May you have a peaceful night, a little freer from comparison.